And I think that the mindset shift that you have to be in this industry with, like, if you just constantly look around to everybody else and you're comparing yourself to everybody else, like I sort of said earlier, you're not going to have that confidence because you've never done it before. So there's no reason why you would have the confidence to be successful or to do all the things. I think you have to trust that if you put the work in, everything's going to work out. And yeah, like you just have to sort of set a goal and believe, because if you have these self-limiting beliefs of, oh, I can't do that, that's exactly what's going to happen. So you have to, it starts up here. It starts in your brain.
Welcome to the Sold Right Away podcast, where realtors stop playing small and start marketing like top producers. I'm Maud Léger, real estate marketing strategist and business owner obsessed with one thing: helping realtors build brands that attract listings, generate leads, and actually convert. Every week, I sit down with top performing agents and industry leaders to break down what's really working in today's market. No fluff, no theory, just real conversations and strategies you can implement right away. If you're ready to stand out, scale intentionally, and win more business, you're in the right place. And that's why today I've brought on Jenna Bole, driven realtor and rising team leader, sharing her take on why the agents who break through are the ones who set goals that feel almost delusional, refuse to let go of it, and build the kind of relationships that make client feels known before they ever sign anything. Let's get to my chat with Jenna. Hi Jenna, thanks for joining us on the episode today. Tell us, how did you arrive to real estate?
Hi. I have a kind of a funny way that I got into real estate. I was finishing up my university degree in psychology, and I thought I was planning to do a master's program, something healthcare related, but I kind of rushed to finish my degree. I was 21 and I was like, I really don't want to go back to school, so I'll just get a job and see if I like it. And my mom was like, okay, well, what kind of job do you want? And I said, I don't really know. And she said, what about real estate? And I said, ew, why would you want to be, like the guy on the bus bench? I don't get it. And I had coffee with her friend who is in real estate. She had been for about 5 years at the time. And she explained to me that it's not about the sales, it's about the relationships and helping people. And so I quickly realized that, I had similar values to her, and she ended up being a mentor of mine, and I joined a team. And I had no intention of getting into real estate. It kind of just fell into my lap.
No, I love it. I love it. I love the reaction. You're like, oh, I don't want to be the guy on the bench.
No, exactly. I didn't get it, but it's been a really good fit. So I'm glad I'm here.
And I guess your psychology background kind of helps too, how to navigate the process, the stress, and how to help people through. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. In real estate, you definitely wear multiple hats and you help people through lots of different situations and helping them navigate, whether it's, they're upsizing, they're downsizing, it's a divorce, they had a kid. There's so many life scenarios that, play into real estate decisions. So I do think that that's been really helpful with just all of the different personalities that you deal with on a day-to-day basis too.
No, totally. I get that. Very cool. And then now that you started with not wanting to be a realtor and you became one, what's the moment that you actually thought, I'm going to go all in. This is my thing. This is what I'm going to do.
You know what's funny? I never really had a moment necessarily. I think when I decided that I was going to do it, there was no option of failure. Like my mentor at the time, and like I said, I had a whole team of people who were amazing, but the person who brought me into the business, her name is Karen, she asked me one day about a year and a half in, and she said, do you actually like this? Like, are you going to stick with this? And I was like, what do you mean? This is my career. I'm not getting out. There's no way. So I don't think that there was a moment. I think that I'm just somebody who I really strive for success, and I want to, I don't really give myself the option to fail. Like if I'm setting, a goal, then I'm going to work my butt off to get there.
I love it. So once you said that's what I'm gonna do, this was it. That was the decision
This
was
is
made.
it. Exactly. Yeah.
What would you say is one thing that you're really good at as a realtor?
Um, I like to think that I'm really good at relationships and really good at connecting with people. So, like, I always think it's kind of funny because when realtors talk about their listing presentations or like how they present in front of clients, I don't have a big flashy package. I primarily try to ask lots of questions and try to build trust rather than say, hey, look at me, I've got all these accolades and all these things. I really just love the connection piece and the building relationships and the building trust. Um, and I like a lot of my business is based on repeat and referral as well. So, having referrals from people who have worked with me in the past and having that word of mouth type of business, I think goes back to just loving the connection piece and being friends with my clients and keeping that relationship going for a long time.
Nice, nice. I love it. So it's not the flashy, it's who you are. You bring yourself to the table.
Exactly. Yeah, I think like authenticity is such a buzzword nowadays, but I think it's true, right? Like if you're being yourself and you're, not pretending to be somebody else, then people can really gravitate towards you and trust you, and you can build those relationships from a solid foundation.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Authenticity. So would that be your key to your success if I were to ask you, or do you have like some other secret?
I think so, and I think just the really headstrong mindset of like I saw this recently on social media about just like kind of being delusional about your goals, and that if you set something like set a goal for yourself, you have to be a little delusional because I don't think you're ever ready. Like building confidence comes from consistently doing an action over and over again, and then eventually you just have the confidence, right? But people set out to do something and then you get scared and you don't do it, and I never want to be like, oh, I wish I did that or I wish I put myself out there. So I think that is the other secret to success is like you're never going to be ready. You just kind of have to start.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So
Mhm.
what kind of bold and audacious goals are you setting for yourself? What does that look like? Delusional
um,
goals.
well, so like I said, I started on a real estate team, and I
Hmm.
worked with them licensed for 6 years, and I actually started as their unlicensed assistant for a year before that. So 7 years total, I was on a team. And I said that once I left the team, I want to achieve top 35 under 35 with Royal LePage. I was 28 at the time. And I was
Wow.
like, yep, I'm going to do that. It's kind of a big deal, right? Like there's 22,000 realtors in all of Royal LePage. And so to be this, kind of high level like list of people. That was a big goal, and I did achieve that year, which was really crazy. So I don't know. Like I think that as you continue to build your business, everybody has different goals for themselves. But currently, I am working on building my team. So I just had another agent join me. So it's myself and my licensed assistant and another agent. And I'm just really loving that mentorship role now. Like I'm really enjoying the passion that I get to see from her every day too. Because eventually, when you're in the business for a little while, sometimes you lose that fire, you lose that excitement that you definitely have in your first couple of years. So the goals are always shifting and changing, but it's pretty cool to be surrounded by some top level agents in Royal LePage.
Yeah, that's such a success. That's amazing. Congrats. And what would you say is a valuable lesson that you have learned throughout all that success achievement?
Um, that's a good question. I feel like you can never judge a book by its cover. Like I think everybody is going through something different. I like to try to give people the benefit of the doubt, especially working with realtors. Um, the market is very different all over the country, but like Toronto and Vancouver right now, for example, I know that their markets are really challenging. Calgary, the market is a little bit slower than it's been over the past couple of years, but during COVID, like everyone was so exhausted. So I think it's just about like not taking it personally, because sometimes people just have a bad day.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, I guess, would be rejection. Like there's a lot of rejection in the real estate industry, especially when you're starting out. Like I started door knocking and open houses and kind of all of the different marketing tactics that you do when you're a brand new agent, and you just don't give up, right? Like that's just something that you just kind of got to keep chugging along. Don't take it personally. Um, and again, if you have that delusional mindset of it's going to work out, it's going to one way or another, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're just gonna give it everything you've got and the grit and the hard work, and I love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice, nice. In terms of like now more like on hands, like practices or strategies, what have you put in place to make sure you're getting more out of real estate?
hmm so as I mentioned earlier, a lot of our business is repeat and referral. So
Yeah.
I don't really invest heavily in like advertising. That's not really been a huge strategy of mine. I do spend a lot of time and effort and money on treating my past clients really, really well. So,
Nice.
for example, I just sent out Mother's Day cards with some little like packets of like flower seeds. I love doing little like surprise and delight, little gifts throughout the year, hosting client events, staying in touch with valuable information about the market, what's going on in their neighborhood, just checking in and saying I was doing a showing in your community and I thought of you and how are you doing, right? So that's primarily where we see like the highest return for our business. Just and I like to me, I would much rather work with somebody who already likes, and trusts me, and they're recommending me to their friends and family, than somebody who picks up the phone and they just want to see our listing, but they don't know anything about us. I think it's harder to convert those people. So primarily, a lot of our business is through word of mouth, which yeah, that's where we spend the majority of our marketing dollars, for example.
Yeah, makes sense. Nurturing the clients you already have, your past clients, making sure they still remember you and that you're giving them a good feeling, so they'll remember you.
Exactly. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Continuing their relationships, right? Because
Yes.
um, you're in such a really emotional time in their life, and then all of a sudden one day you just stop talking because they got the keys. And it's kind of sad. So I really like to continue the relationship as much as I can.
Nice. I love that. I love that. That's very cool. So now you're
hmm
building it, and as you're building your team and you have agents coming on board, when they shadow you, what's the one thing that surprised them about you?
Um, I think how simple I like everything to be.
Wow.
My personality has changed a lot over the past 8 years of being in real estate. I used to be, I was going to start using like a personality profile, but maybe not everybody's familiar with that. I used to be very like detail oriented, which I still am, but I think when you get to a place where you're more so like the CEO of a company rather than, hustling and wearing all the hats all the time. Um, I've had to sort of shift my mentality a little bit. And so I think my team members are surprised by the way that I'm just a lot better. Like I don't overanalyze anything anymore. If I want to do something, I'm just going to figure out a way to get it done in the easiest path forward. Yeah, like I never want to sit and overthink a decision for weeks on end before I decide how I'm going to do it, which is funny because the team leader that I had on my previous team, I never understood how he could plan a client event in a week. Like that would have taken me months before, right? And now because you'd analyze every single little thing, and now I get it. Like when you're doing however many deals and you've got so many other things to manage, including other team members and their success as well, you do have to kind of step back and reprioritize and figure out how you're going to do everything. And usually that means being more productive, making decisions very quickly, and just getting it done. And so sometimes that means simplicity too. Like a lot of our process is not necessarily automated because I like to have a personal touch onto it, but we definitely have templates that we use, and like, everything is documented. So if there's a question of how do we, like, what company do we send our clients flowers through, I've got that documented in our SOP because it's all, I want it to be really straightforward and easy to recreate.
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm a huge process person, so I love hearing those process stories.
Love a process. Yeah.
Yeah, love a process. And that's an interesting thing you mentioned, the mind shift change. How did that happen? Like, did you go through coaching or someone who helped you become the CEO, or did you just realize you had to do it?
No, that's a really good question. So basically, since I started in real estate, I do work with a coaching program. And so I've worked with a few different coaches within that company. And it's funny because I feel like I was with the perfect coach at the perfect point of my career. Um, it was the second coach that kind of made me realize, okay, I'm getting a little complacent and I'm doing the same things over and over again. So then eventually I switched to another coach, and she has really helped me figure out, yeah, like what hats I should be wearing at what time, and just refocusing my attention and not focusing on other things. Um, so yeah, no, it definitely took some support and some coaching with that, because I think unless you have the self-awareness, you might not ever get to that place, right? You like, and maybe not everybody wants to build a team, but that was a goal of mine. So I had to shift.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. You had your goal and then you realized what you had to do to bridge the gap between where you are now and where you have to be to achieve this goal.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Love
that totally requires a different change of personality or a different change of process, or like there's so many. I always think about that book, Atomic Habits. And so you have to like almost become that person first, right? It's an identity thing before you can have that or attain that thing or become that. Yeah. So it's really interesting, but I wholeheartedly believe that.
I love it. I love it. And then how do you coach through now your own agents to mentor them if they need a mindset shift?
Yeah. So with my team, we have weekly meetings, minimum. And today it was kind of funny. We were chatting about their goals, and I said, we were talking about how the market's a little weird right now. In Calgary, the spring market has just kind of started, but our weather just shifted, and so it's been a little bit slow because everybody's outside. Everybody's loving life now that we've got some blue skies and sunshine out. But it can be really challenging, especially in your first couple of years of real estate, and just thinking, okay, how am I set this goal for myself of, let's say, 20 deals or 30 deals or 10 deals, right? Of however much you want to sell in the year. And you can kind of get down on yourself a little bit. And so I think it's just like continuing to communicate and continuing to, motivate where that needs to happen. With the conversation that we had, I just said, like, look, you're doing all the right things. We're keeping track. We've got a tracker that our coaching program has provided us with, and so every week, she's doing all the right things. She's tracking the number of showings, the number of offers, the number of touch points that she's got with her clients, and ultimately, I believe that as long as you're doing all the right actions, you're going to get to the place that you want to be at. But the first step is figuring out what that is going to look like. So it's just the constant, business planning and coaching and figuring out whatever that goal looks like, how can we get you there?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And then you track it to make sure you're on the right path. Yeah, I love it.
Exactly.
Not
Exactly.
just tracking the goal or the revenue, tracking the actions to lead to it.
Exactly. Yeah, I heard somebody call it a scorecard once. Like,
Okay.
yes, you can say like at the end of at the end of a game or at the end of a whatever, like you did a certain amount of things, but you do have to track like on a, maybe it's not a daily
Yeah.
basis, maybe that's like way too stressful, but yeah, at least like a weekly basis, and then every month, do a little deep dive into how did all that go, where can I shift, where can I improve. um, yeah, that's always kind of been my style. So
Yeah, I love it. This is very cool. Very cool. Perfect for you to be able to build a team too now. That's awesome.
yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
I have a rapid fire questions segment of the podcast. So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. Some of them we already addressed, but it's interesting to hear it again. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. What is your best marketing strategy right now?
Oof. Okay, well, the one that I'm working on is YouTube.
Okay.
But is that my best? No. So I will say marketing to past clients would be my best.
Yes. Okay, cool. And then what's your social media tactic right now? So is it YouTube that you're growing?
Yes, YouTube I'm actively working on. My goal is posting once a week, but I find all the editing and everything to be very overwhelming, so figuring all that out. Um, and I am primarily on Instagram as well. I'll post all of my listings to Facebook, but I haven't seen a ton of return on that. I still think Instagram is the place where people are connecting and people will reach out through the messages and everything. So I have found that to be really helpful.
Okay. Okay. So now if you had to choose one platform for 1 year to use only, what would it be and why?
Oh, definitely Instagram. I just
Okay.
find that it's way easier to connect with people. Like I also like to say that it's really important to be social on social media. It's not just about liking this and, liking that and paying attention to what's going on. It's, like one of my clients just had a baby a couple weeks ago, and I saw that her dog is now 8 years old. And so I reached out to her and I said, "Oh my gosh, like that's a way to communicate. It's a starting point for conversations." So definitely Instagram if I had to just choose one.
Okay, cool. And what is your top income generating activity?
Ooh, I would say it's just the proactive reach outs.
Nice.
Um, because like I said, if I'm showing in a community and I haven't talked to a certain client and I drove past their street, I just want to check in and I want to see how they're doing. But sometimes I will use social media to kind of see if they've had anything exciting happen in their life. Um, yeah, that would be my number one for sure.
Very cool. Love it. What activities should every realtor drop? Something that's not working.
Ooh, well, I will stay on the topic of social media and I'll say doom scrolling because that's never
Yeah.
good. Um, and I will also say, like, just getting in your own head about overanalyzing everything. Like, I think um, if you're wanting to start a YouTube channel or if you're
Mhm.
wanting to go door knocking, like I was so scared to do that, but you just kind of have to get out of your own head. If you have an idea, what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work. Well, it wasn't working before, when you
Yeah.
weren't doing it. So it's
Yeah.
worth a shot, in my opinion.
I love it. I love it. If you were not doing it, so it was not doing anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
So true. When you have a listing, how do you leverage that listing to get more listings?
um, in our case in particular, like I don't do mail outs. Like I haven't really dabbled in that too much. Um, Again, I think because our process is so focused on repeat and referral, I consistently put that into our client's head throughout the process. So
Yeah.
when somebody starts working with us, I have them fill out a little Google form or like a type form type web page where they put in their information, and I get some basic details about them, and there's a little slide on there that says over 80% of our business is through repeat and referral, and if you have an amazing experience working with me, I would love for you to share that with your friends and family. That is our goal. That is, so I'm constantly kind of mentioning that and putting that into their brain so that hopefully, that is the goal, that they have such an amazing experience that they want to rave about us to their friends and family.
I love it. I love it. You're not just asking, you're actually putting the work in place so that they have the experience and that
Exactly.
they, nice. Very cool. What is the best advice you've ever received?
I would say that, like, I personally just don't really let things bother me, especially if they're out of my control. I never want to dwell on something and have something ruin my day because it was, a 10-second interaction. I think the phrase that I had seen on social media one time was, if you had, let's say, like $1 million in your bank account, and somebody took $10 from that bank account, does that poison all the rest of the money that you have? No, right? So I think your time should be looked at in the same way. I think time is very valuable, and so if you have a bad moment, or something doesn't go your way, try not to let that ruin like a really long period of time, because time is so precious.
I love it. Yeah, this is so true. Very cool. And everyone has their own definition of success. How do you define success for you?
I define success in, yeah, interesting. I would have told you a few years ago that it's about kind of being, the top level. And so I think it shifts and it changes throughout maybe your career or throughout your life. Um, Yeah. So I was at a networking event and somebody asked me this probably 5 years ago. And so at the time I was like, I just wanna be successful, and I want to have lots of money and freedom of time and freedom of money and all the things. And now I would say I just want a regulated nervous system, and I want some free time, and I want peace, and I want joy. And it's funny how things change, right? Because like I think if you're in that first couple years in the business, you gotta hustle, you gotta, and so that you're always comparing yourself to everyone else, and that is the goal, is to be busy and to hustle, and obviously that's important, for everybody's lifestyle. But I think true success is time with family. I think it's time with friends. It's peace. It's, yeah, like just
Yeah.
having a really sense of fulfillment and purpose, but also like staying grounded.
Yeah, totally relate. Like the mindset shift that you've had as we're growing in a different position, but it's also a mindset shift as you grow. You grow, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate. I've had different definitions of success, and things change as you go along the way, which is, I guess, we're maturing.
I think so. I think that's what they say.
Yes, yes, but grounding, I like that. That's a good answer.
Mhm.
Very cool. Yeah. If you had one piece of advice you could leave for all realtors out there, what would it be?
To believe in yourself. Because
Yeah.
I think that the mindset shift that you have to be in this industry with, like, if you just constantly look around to everybody else and you're comparing yourself to everybody else, like I sort of said earlier, you're not going to have that confidence because you've never done it before. So there's no reason why you would have the confidence to be successful or to do all the things. I think you have to trust that if you put the work in, everything's going to work out. And yeah, like you just have to sort of set a goal and believe, because if you have these self-limiting beliefs of, oh, I can't do that, that's exactly what's going to happen. So you have to, it starts up here. It starts in your brain.
Yeah. Knowledge and belief. I love it. Yeah, very cool. Nice. Thank you. And before we end today, this episode is gonna be posted in oh, sorry. I'm drawing a blank. I think it's July. So I'll redo this, but I think you'll post it in July, so we'll be halfway through the year. Okay, so the question is, anyways, I'll start again. Before we end today, what is next for you in the next half of the year in order to finish the year strong?
Mm. We have a couple of client events that are coming up, so I'm really excited about that. We have some conferences that we'll be attending throughout the year. We've got our Royal LePage conference that's happening in October. And the coaching program that I'm a part of is also coming up. We've got an event in Quebec City in June. So I'm really excited to just connect with a bunch of agents. And I really love like learning what is working for everybody else and having open conversations about, what's working, what's not, what can we shift, what can we change, how can we improve. So that's really exciting. And yeah, I think we're just gonna keep chugging along and treating our clients really well and hope that we can receive some more referrals and help some more people.
I love it. I love it. Very cool. Do you want to share what is on your delusional goal for 2026?
Well, I can, do you want to know how many houses I want to sell this year?
Yes, sure.
My goal for this year is to sell 92 homes, just myself.
Okay.
So that's not
Okay.
including the rest of the team. So fingers
Fantastic.
crossed, I can do it.
Yes, that's amazing. Of course you can do it. You put your mind to it, you'll put the action, you have a goal. I love it. 92.
Yeah,
We'll check in at the end of the year and check in with you.
perfect. Yeah, hold me accountable. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. Accountability. That is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. I think you're very inspiring and a lot of people can gain a lot out of your sharing today.
Aw, well, thank you
Where
so
do
much
we
for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And then where do we find you online?
My Instagram is at Jenna Bole, so JennaBole. And my YouTube channel is the exact same. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. I would love to connect.
Okay, awesome. We'll share all of that in the link below.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in the Sold Right Away podcast, where serious realtors come to think bigger, execute smarter, and win more listings. If today's episode helped you, sharpened you, or challenged you, don't just listen and move on. Subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other realtors who need to hear it. And now I want to know, what's the marketing bottleneck in your business right now? Is it leads, consistency, visibility? Don't guess your way through it. Book a 15-minute strategy call with me at soldrightaway.com and let's build a plan that actually moves the needle. Until next time, work smarter, take actions, and get more out of real estate.